Daniel Andrews is being called upon to take on some of the new quarantine protocols we've been hearing about in South Australia.
That's right, Ash. South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall earlier this week revealed that when international travellers resume going to South Australia, all positive return travellers, those who test positive to coronavirus, I should say, instead of being sent to hotels, will be sent to designated health facilities where they'll be monitored closely by nurses and guarded exclusively by police and protective services officers instead of private security guards. Now, Premier Daniel Andrews is being urged to do the same when return travellers resume heading to his state as part of the revamped quarantine program in Victoria.
The notion of a dedicated health hotel, that's well understood to us. I think size and scale, a number of return travellers might mean that South Australia might be able to be just in the one facility. I think we will probably need to have more than one, but the notion of cohorting positive patients is a well understood policy response by us.
Ash, 3 weeks ago, Jennifer Coate handed down her interim recommendations from the hotel quarantine inquiry. One of those recommendations was that some travellers, instead of being sent to hotels, be allowed to quarantine in their homes for 14 days under the condition that they are strictly supervised electronically by authorities. Today, the Premier has revealed that that recommendation has effectively been junked because of opposition by other premiers and chief ministers. The Premier here fearing that other states would close their borders if Victoria took that approach.
Having some novel approach in Victoria, which would almost certainly mean that other states were not comfortable with the arrangements and would therefore, for instance, close borders. I think we're going to have a hotel-based system, but it will look and be different.
Now, there has been a lot of criticism of the hotel quarantine program across Australia, particularly in Victoria, but also, of course, more recently in South Australia. Prime Minister Scott Morrison, though, has defended the program in general, saying that of all the travellers who have gone through the system, most of them have gone through safely and efficiently.
Yes, there have been a number of outbreaks that have caused from quarantine, but when you think of the hundreds of thousands of people who have come back through this system over the many months, that's why your backup systems of tracing and isolating and testing are so important. There's no one solve to this. All of these things work together.
Ash, tomorrow the Victorian Hotel Quarantine Inquiry will have its final hearing. We'll hear some submissions, some statements tendered from the Premier and also former Health Minister Jenny Mikakos. These will be the final pieces of evidence tendered before the final report is handed down in December. That final hearing will take place tomorrow at 12 p.m.